So much has happened since I last saw you. I lost my hammer, like yesterday, so that's still pretty fresh. And then I went on a journey of self-discovery. Where I met you.
Where are we?
You have no idea. Hela, the goddess of death, has invaded Asgard.
Oh, I've missed this.
And you and I had a fight recently.
Did I win?
No, I won, easily.
Doesn't sound right.
Oh, it's true.
Asgard is dead. And it'll be reborn in my image. I thought you'd be glad to see me.
I need to stop her here and now to prevent Ragnarok, the end of everything. So we're putting together a team. Like the old days. Surprise! This will be such fun. Hello.
Hi.
He's a fighter.
Here we go.
I'm not a queen or a monster. I'm the goddess of death. What were you the god of again?
We're the same, you and I. Just a couple of hot-headed fools.
Yeah, same. Hulk like fire, Thor like water.
Well, kind of both like fire.
But Hulk like raging fire, Thor like smoldering fire.
Hello.
Hey. Sir, thanks so much for being here. I'm such a fan of your work, and I was so excited to find out that you were going to be directing this movie when your name got published and released.
Thank you. I was also excited.
I imagine so.
And surprised.
Well, what was it like for you jumping from the budget of something like Hunt for the Wilder People or What We Do in the Shadows to the budget of something like Thor Ragnarok?
Well, the big difference, obviously, is the catering. The food, it just really jumps up by about 15 levels in terms of food.
You go from like mom's home-baked goods to
You go
like,
from you cutting up carrots for the crew to someone else cutting up carrots for
carrots
you.
while also
Yeah.
like going over your shot list.
Exactly. Someone feeding you grapes and stuff. I had someone come up to me before about 2 weeks before shooting and they said, "So we're going to give you a director's tent." It's the first time I've ever had one of those. And I said, "Okay." And they said, "What kind of things do you want?" I said, "Honestly, guys, I'm an indie director. You know, I keep it real. I'll just have a little box next to the camera. You know, so it'd be right next to the actors and everything." 2 weeks into the shoot, I was lying on a chaise lounge in the tent with a microphone, like this, with a TV screen, eating like a cheese platter and cups of tea and stuff. And I mean, it ruins you. These films ruin you. I'm ruined.
Can you go back to making low-budget films again?
I barely remember what it was like, being an artist. No, of course I will. In my next film, I'm going to go back. One for them, one for you.
That's what they say. That's what they say. Yeah. You figured out the secret.
It's not really a secret.
It's like what everybody says. I want to know how you go into
How we
Marvel.
coloured the poster. Well, we took every coloured crayon in existence and
Got 'em like a
got a
fire
6-year-old to basically just go for it.
Well, I've heard that part of your main pitch was the Led Zeppelin song that you end up using in the movie. But there is so much different in this film than in the previous Thor movies. One, the sort of the sense of humor, the colors, the score that is used in the film. So was all of that part of your original pitch, sort of going in there and being like, we're gonna take apart what you've already done and make it something else?
Well, my pitch really was I went and met with Marvel and I said, look, Thor's got to be the coolest character if you're going to call the movie Thor. So that's the first thing that we need to focus on. And I'd played this Led Zepp song for them with this sizzle reel, as they call it in the biz, which is basically torrenting clips from many, many movies and putting a Led Zeppelin track on it. And they...
Wait, that's all you got to do?
That's all you got to do.
I can do that.
I did that.
Thor.
I did that. I've admitted to committing crimes. Marvel saw it, and they and from that moment they wanted to try and license that song because I was so surprised that no one had used "Immigrant Song" for a Thor film.
Or an action sequence in I don't
anything.
know. And if it has, yeah, because when the song started for me, I was like, it's one of those sort of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was basically my whole pitch was just playing, a lot of clips from movies I loved with this song, and I think the pitch process actually, what I've learned is, it's just you and the studio figuring out if you could bear to work with each other for 2 years.
Yeah. 2 years.
2 years, yeah. So you kind of meet each other and you hang out and you tell some stories to each other and stuff, and then you figure out. Yeah, I think I could be your friend for 2 years. That's how it works.
We could weather this together.
And I'm getting this vibe right now. I think
Yeah?
we could be friends. We could be friends for 2 years.
We could do this interview for 2 years. Come back next year. We'll be sitting here. Well, talk to me about injecting the Thor series with a kind of self-referential humor and just more. There are more jokes. Like the movie will stop and a great joke will happen, and then the movie kind of picks up again. I know some people would say that's not a compliment, but I mean that as a compliment.
No. I take it as a compliment. I'm very surprised with the kind of jokes and content that Marvel have let me put in this movie. I'm very surprised, and you'll be surprised.
When they, I mean, obviously you're known for doing comedy prior to this. When they signed you onto the film, was part of it like, let's try to put more jokes into it?
Yeah, they really wanted to inject the whole franchise with a bit more life and a bit more kind of vitality. The thing about like a lot of studio films and Hollywood films especially is when you hear a joke in these films, you get the feeling that the joke was written about a year before they shot it. It's like it's been in the script for a long time, and someone a couple of people in a boardroom are like, oh, and then he's gonna say, and it's like, oh, it's gonna be amazing when we shoot that in a year. How we did it on Thor was our script really was a suggestion, and and so all the jokes were kind of like maybe, and we got on set and we basically explored what more we could do, and so I think the humor is a very different style of humor definitely for superhero movies.
And because of that, I think you get a sense that the actors are having a really good time as well. They're not just sort of throwing out these sort of
there's shots
one-liners.
when Chris and Mike, they're like trying to stop laughing, and they're in the movie. You can see them or even in the trailer there, where at the end of the thing when Chris like cracks up, it's him actually laughing at a line that Mark was saying as the Hulk.
Well, can I ask you a question? I mean, I'm sure this is well documented, but how do you do is the Hulk actually, when you're shooting it, Mark Ruffalo in?
Yeah, it's him, and he's in the. I don't know if you've ever seen those motion capture pajama things that look ridiculous.
So he's doing motion capture Hulk.
Yeah, so he's like every time that Thor and Hulk are talking together, it's him and Mark. And they're a lot of the time ad-libbing. And
is that hard for the other actor like Chris Hemsworth? Because I mean, if his eye line, this is so geeky.
Well, no, it is hard, and I know exactly what you're going to say. He has to look above Mark's face to talk to him, and Mark has to look down at Chris's crotch to talk to him for his eye line. So it's really weird, and I play a character in the film as well, this rock monster Korg. And
did you motion capture yourself?
Motion captured. And I was directing in these stupid pajamas with all these like golf balls all over you, and it is really hard to be taken seriously when you're wearing that stuff and you're trying to direct a movie. And it's like, hey guys, I want the camera over there, and they're like, who are you?
Talk about this character that you play in the film. He's hilarious, and it's like an exaggerated version of your accent, right? Or like an accent.
It
from
is.
your
It's
native land.
the character I play is this character from Planet Hulk, from that comic series. His name is Korg, and he's made of rocks, and he he's got a very very colloquial New Zealand accent, very rural New Zealand accent. Anyone here from New Zealand? I doubt it. But you'll know the accent. It's a very everyone knows the accent back home.
Yeah, and you bring it to this character, and it's not really explained at all.
Hey, why are there Americans in outer space? All right, surely there can be some New Zealanders on alien planets too. Like, it's our time. It's our time to be. It's New Zealanders' time to be aliens. You guys have had it too easy.
I'm wondering, when you're making a film like this, one of the requirements, both for the audience, the fans, is obviously the action sequences and when they appear in the film, how many appear in the film, and how sort of connected to the story they are, and sort of, I guess, new innovations in regards to those action sequences when it comes to effects. But how do you inject humor into those scenes? Because in this film, you actually do that a fair number of times in the midst of a big action sequence where most films wouldn't know how to do it. You know how to inject a joke or a line. I think of Ruffalo, jumping out of the ship. It's just a wonderful moment.
Well, most of the time when we're doing the film, whenever we approach something like a big action sequence or or even a scene, we would often ask ourselves and talk to each other and say, "Have we seen this before? Does this feel like we've seen it in 10 other movies? If so, let's do the opposite, and let's have instead of Mark jumping down and turning into the Hulk and landing on the bridge, he has this his big pratfall." And I don't know. To be honest, I didn't know what I was doing.
Did you feel that the whole time?
Yeah.
How did you get through it? Cheese and chaise lounge in the tent?
Cheese, lying down. Whenever someone asked me one of the big pressure questions, I just fall asleep or pretend to be asleep. I'll answer later.
What was out of curiosity? What was the toughest part of doing this movie for you?
The toughest part really was the length of time. It was 85 days of shooting, and that feels like a sort of, I don't know. There are a lot of animals out there, and that's a sort of gestation period for for their babies. 85 days. 85 days. I could have had like a baby like antelope in that time, and I don't know.
Yeah, what the hell
I
are
don't
you
know
just
how long
talking
it takes. I don't know how long it takes. Does anyone know? Can anyone Google how long it takes to cook an antelope in the womb? In a male womb? In a New Zealand male's womb? Nope, no one's into it. Okay.
Someone Google that for us. And when Chris Hemsworth obviously has playing Thor, he's the last two films, he has an ownership over the character. What kind of conversations did you have with him going into shooting?
Well, basically, I really enjoyed the other Thor films, but I wanted to look at this hero as someone who was charming, funny, all right looking, but also just someone you wanted to go on an adventure with. And when I was describing that kind of hero, I just thought of Chris. Those are the qualities that he displays. He's charming. He's funny. He is the kind of person you want to go on an adventure with. And so really, well, he's a movie star.
Well, no, but I mean that in the sense of like those are the qualities of a great movie
He's
star.
a movie star now that I resurrected his career. What?
What about her? Her career was falling
about
apart,
her?
and you
What's
really
her name? I
picked
forgot
her
her
up
name.
out of the ash and carried her to stardom again.
No, I don't know what she had done before this movie.
Sort of extra work, I think. A lot of background stuff.
What's it? Nicole Kidman. Yeah, she. No, she's done a couple of things. I mean, I don't know what she's going to do with her future. I wish her all the best. She's got a bright future. How about that green guy? Yeah, no, he's all right. Oh, honestly, I like look at this poster. I'm blown away that I made a movie with all these fools.
Yeah, it's incredible.
This guy's Jeff Gold. I keep forgetting he was in the movie.
he's like primo Jeff Goldblum in the film. Like
No, he's Jeff Goldblum doing the best Jeff Goldblum. If you want the best Jeff Goldblum impersonation, you have got to get Jeff Goldblum.
Is that what you told? Did you tell him to do that?
It's like, Jeff, all we want is Jeff Goldblum. Oh, well, I know. I mean, I was expecting you to. I mean, that's all I would expect. I mean, I didn't mean to. I don't mean to assume, but I was hoping you would ask me to do Jeff Goldblum.
Is that really what the conversation was?
That was me pitching the movie to him. Well, no, it wasn't me. It was him pitching himself to me. Yeah.
And what about the addition of Tessa Thompson, who's wonderful?
She's wonderful. There she is down there.
Yeah.
With a little sword. Tessa Thompson, well, basically, I feel like she's kind of like the Han Solo of the film. Or Han Solo is the Valkyrie of Star Wars. Basically I said to her, it's like...
I remember it was the dropping of it immediately after saying it.
I don't want to because it's not my microphone. I said to her, look, you got to be the rascal in the movie. You got to be the rat bag. And do you guys say the word rat bag here?
No, but I like it.
Rat bag. Rat bag is a very sort of Australasian sort of thing. Yeah,
We say
you
dick bag.
little rat bag. No, we wouldn't say dick bag. You'd say bag of dicks. So
You would say bag of dicks and oh, okay.
you wouldn't say dick bag.
I think people say dick bag here.
What do you say, dick bag?
People say dick bag?
You say dickhead. Dickhead
dickhead.
is one of the greatest insults known to man. Dickhead. Yeah, bloody dickhead. So I'm trying to tell this cool story about Tessa Thompson, and I can't remember it. That's why I got segued.
You were telling her that she has to be the mischievous one, the rat bag.
Or mischievous.
Mischievous.
You were about to say mischievous.
Mischievous one.
The mischievous. Guys,
Please
I'm
say
trying
that.
to tell the story. What
Come
day
back
is
in
it?
2
What
years.
day
we'll
is
be
it?
trying to- Tuesday? Yes.
Tuesday.
Halloween.
Man, you say words weird. Mischievous Tuesday. Here's my story about Tessa Thompson. There's no story. Just offered her lots of money and she did the movie.
Had you seen her in something before that excited you about getting her in the film?
Oh, yeah. I loved her in Rocky 18.
I'm a huge fan of What We Do in the Shadows. It's one of the funniest movies to come out in years. I've heard there's rumors that you're working on a
Oh, yeah.
on a sequel.
The rumor's true.
The rumor's true. Is that going to be the one for you? You
The
said
one?
one for them, one for you.
Oh, no. That's one for Jermaine. Nah. The one for me will be another one I'm doing. But, he's hounding me to do this other thing.
Are you going to direct it or are you going to write it?
We're going to co-direct. We'll co-direct it.
Oh, you're co-director.
Yeah. So, and basically, it basically follows the werewolves, the group of werewolves, and I like to think of it as, and the movie's called Werewolves. We're wolves. We're wolves. Get it? It's a wordplay. Americans love wordplays, and you guys love puns. It's a sort of a wordplay thing.
I don't like puns personally. I love the title of the movie, but I'm not a big pun fan.
This conversation has taken a disastrous turn.
I guess we're not going to stay here for 2 years then, just sort of...
No, you're not going to see it for 7 years. We are the notoriously terrible at writing together, Jermaine and I.
Are you really?
Yeah, it usually takes place over emails. And so we'll email each other one line of dialogue once a month. And that's what we do in the Shadows took 6 years to write.
Did it actually take 6 years to write?
Yeah, and almost 6 months of that was down at one of these cafes down here.
Oh, wow.
I'm very like, oh yeah, one of these New York cafes down there, you know down the road.
Because he was in New York shooting Concords.
No, he was doing Men in Black 3.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Why am I promoting Men in Black 3? I don't need to promote that. You don't need to see it. You need to see this. Don't go see Jermaine's movies. My movie's more important.
No, you didn't. You didn't write the script for Thor Ragnarok, but
Oh
essentially.
God, don't rub it in.
But did you essentially take that? Did you develop the story with the writers and work with them a lot?
Yep. So we did a lot of storyliner, and came with, basically we spent about 4 or 5 months trying to figure out what the story was, and then gave that storyline to the writer Eric Pearson, and he wrote a really brilliant script, and then we sort of stuck to it, but improvised a lot around it as well.
Is it hard improvising in a situation like this where you're doing sort of like a big action movie, especially one that has to follow, pretty specific beats to propel the story forward? Yeah,
it's you have to look at all the information in the scene that the audience needs to understand what's going on in this crazy movie. But also, we're all improvisers, aren't we? Because life is not scripted. I want you guys to think about that. When you wake up in the morning, you're an improviser. I'm not going to stop looking at you guys until someone nods. Ah, yeah. Got one nod. That was enough. You improvised that.
That's how you get the improvisation out of people.
Yeah.
Just stare at them.
Stare at them.
Deadpan. Yeah.
I'm not going to call cut until you do something, Kate.
Should I talk? I don't know. What do you want me to do? So you get this, you get this script, and then you have to sort of engage with all of the peripheral characters as well sometimes, and get them in the film. Like, I don't want to spoil anything for who.
The smaller heads. You mean the ones below Thor's face?
No, there's people in the movie who aren't even below Thor's face here. Right? He's not on the poster.
Well, they're not peripheral, though, are they?
They're not
above him.
They're not above or below.
Are they? Maybe they're placed. I never thought of this. Maybe they're placed according to how many nominations they've had.
Oh, that's a good. Well, Ruffalo. I think Blanchett has had more than.
What's
Ruffalo.
Bob Marley doing in the movie?
Who were you most nervous to work with in the film?
Bob Marley.
I mean,
Big fan.
He's
Huge fan.
undead. It's weird. It's how much direction can you give him?
Well, I mean, he's an absolute legend. Legend. The album. No? Hands up, who are Bob Marley fans? Oh, mate, this is sad day. Sad day for the
You a
Bob
big
Marley
Bob?
fan club. I'm a huge Bob Marley fan.
Huge. Really?
Huge.
Actually.
Yeah.
You're not just saying that
No, I'm
because
not
he's in the movie.
No. Hands down, one of the biggest Bob Marley fans.
What's your favorite Bob Marley album?
My favorite Bob Marley album is Soul Rebel.
Okay, good for you. We're good.
And I think probably my favorite song of all time is Zimbabwe.
Okay, you know your Marley. I was just waiting to see if you were going to say Legend was your favorite album, and I'd have to be like, that's not.
No. If anyone says Legend is their favorite Bob Marley album, some college kid thinks that smoking pot is cool. It's not about pot. It's not about smoking pot, guys. He's got a message. He's got a real important message.
Let's get some.
Can we talk about Thor Ragnarok?
We've tried.
I feel like your hat needs something on it.
Hello, Mr. Waititi. Huge fan. I loved almost all of your films, and in all of them, I know you have a role in each of your films. And I was just wondering how early on, and why did you decide to play the giant rock monster Korg in this film?
Why did I decide to play? I think I'm translating your question into why did I decide to play the greatest character, the best character in the film.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
He's pretty fun though, isn't he?
Yeah, he's great.
I put myself in all my movies because I'm an egomaniac and I can't help myself. But he basically all the good roles were taken by these. And he was only supposed to be in one scene, and it was. But what I love about this character, I don't know if you've seen the character yet. He's a helper. So throughout the movie, pretty much every character that Thor encounters wants something from him. They want to like either kill him or eat him or enslave him or sell him. And this my character. The only thing he wants is just to be his friend, and I like playing friendly characters. And what we do in the shadows, my character Viago, is he's a helper. He's a friendly character, and he is based on basically my character in what we do in the shadows is a mix of C-3PO and my mum. And I think Korg is a little bit more of a version of my mum. Why am I always playing my mum?
Have you tried to work that out yet?
I thought I had dad issues, but it's actually, maybe I've got mum issues.
Can you talk about developing the sort of visuals of the planet that Goldblum is the leader of, and sort of like retro planet almost, with these sort of broken holograms that pop up, projections that kind of pop up, and the music that you're also using behind that as well?
So Sakaar, he's talking about this planet Sakaar, which is like basically the kind of collection point for a bunch of wormholes from the universe. So if you ever lose like a sock in the washing, your sock will probably end up in this planet. It's a very colourful planet, and we took a lot of inspiration from the art of Jack Kirby, who's one of the co-creators of a lot of these characters. And it's a crazy place. The entire city is pretty much constructed from junk that has fallen through wormholes. So they collect things, bring it into the city, and all the best stuff basically gets brought to Jeff Goldblum, and Jeff Goldblum is Grandmaster, and he rules this world. The music was composed and scored by Mark Mothersbaugh from Devo.
The first 4 Wes Anderson movies as well.
And a lot of Wes Anderson movies. Lego movie, 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street.
One of the greats. He's
one of the
legend.
greats. He's an absolute legend. And really, I just said to him, look, we want to do something really different with this franchise. We want to run it sort of analog synthesizer sounds, sort of Jean-Michel Jarre soundscape kind of stuff, and just make it sort of like as weird as possible. And he did a brilliant job. He really did. The music is amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And we also have, obviously, the Led Zepp song, which only cost $55 zillion to license.
Next question.
Oh, hi, my name is Shamaya. I saw the movie last night and I loved it.
Hi, Shamaya.
Hi. So in the trailer, we do see that both of his eyes are lit up during the fight. And I don't want to spoil anything, but only one eye is lit up in the movie. So what was the decision-making process behind that? Did you film multiple endings, or?
What am I allowed to say? Well, you'll also maybe notice that in the first trailer, when Hela breaks the hammer, it's in an alleyway in New York. And then in the film, in the second trailer, it's in a field in Norway. What we realize is that New York alleyways aren't cool anymore. And paddocks out in Norway, that's the thing that's hot right now. And so we knew that's what the audience wanted. Pretty much, a lot of these decisions get made in post-production. So, when we were shooting it and when the trailer came through and his eyes were both going, that was something that we hadn't quite developed story-wise, I don't want to spoil it. You guys are going to...
Next question.
Hi. With Marvel being such a big cinematic universe and you have so much coming before and so much coming after, do they give you a lot of creative freedom with the movie, or do you have to kind of stick to something to be able to lead into the next 6 movies that might come afterwards?
Well, I didn't really think too much about the other movies. I was just trying to make the best movie I could, and I didn't want this to feel like an episode of like a show or something. I was like, I'll make this like my thing, and if I veer too far out of my lane, I know that Marvel will be there to kind of keep me in the lane, you know. And it's much like helming a ship, and you're on this ocean, and you look over there, and you see, oh, what's that interesting little speckle on the horizon, and you kind of steer your ship towards it, and that's what I did basically like every day. And some days, Marvel would say, "No, Taika, steer your ship away because that's an iceberg, and you're gonna crash the studio."
Is that frustrating when that happens, or was that something that you understood going into this? That
I totally understood. Well, it's not my source material. You know, this thing is like 70 years old, this character, and you know, I don't feel that much ownership over it. Not enough to feel like, you know, I wanted to fight against anyone, you know, and I really, basically my secret was going into it was, it's a collaboration. I'm going to work with these guys. They know what they're doing. They've made 16 successful films. I don't want to be the one to destroy
pretty much
that.
are Hollywood movies now.
Yeah, yeah. So I was determined to just work with them.
Next question.
Hi. I wanted to know what you brought from your indie roots into making a big budget franchise film, and also
these shoes.
I also wanted to know if you could write a blank check and give complete creative freedom to any other living director to make a Marvel film, who would you choose? I would choose Alejandro Jodorowsky.
Wow.
Can I ask, do you actually care what his thoughts were, or did you just want to tell us who you wanted to give the check to?
I wanted him to know that he could choose someone that would never actually happen.
No. And it's amazing you say that. Holy Mountain was a big touchstone for me for this film.
For this film?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Calm down. God, it's like a movie in the city. It really is. You walk around this town, and you literally you're like, "Yo, Tony, pass the ball." It's like the scene in Big, when Tom Hanks checks into that hotel, and he's like
the neon light is flashing in the window.
That's exactly what the city is like.
Seedy hotel.
I'm getting out of here. So Jodorowsky, he was a big influence on this movie.
Jodorowsky is a big influence, I'd imagine, is the days where Marvel would have to come in and steer you.
Hey, Tiger,
sorry,
not a Jodorowsky day.
I'm not sure if we want the sort of limbless, nude little person in this scene.
We don't need you actually nailing people to a wall. But yeah, no, I mean, I would totally agree. I think Flash Gordon was another big influence, and you'll see, colourful. Flash Gordon, Big Trouble in Little China. Basically, Kurt Russell was my favourite actor of all time.
Oh, is that true?
One of them.
He's got that record of Carpenter movies that are pretty amazing.
Yeah, The Thing. If I could make any movie. Well, I wouldn't make that. I'd ruin The Thing. So it's probably good that I didn't make it. But, yeah, so what was the other thing that you said? What was the other question? What was the other statement masked as a question?
Well, I said, what did you take from your indie roots to make a big franchise film?
Okay, so, Jodorowsky. I'm with you, man. Team Jodorowsky. So, indie roots. Well, interesting you should ask this question. And I'm not just buying time. And it may seem like I'm trying to formulate an answer by just skirting around, tiptoeing, tap dancing around what you've asked me. But from my indie roots. Okay. Basically, I
Still doing it.
I'm still doing it. I can't answer it. And that's what essentially filmmaking is. And that's what I brought from my indie roots, honesty.
Pretty amazing.
If you don't know something, just say it. You know?
But before you say it, delay like you know it for as long as possible.
Delay it, then say it.
I think I have time for one more question.
All right.
Right here.
Oh, hello. I'm watching Thor Ragnarok this weekend. Can't wait. Heard great things about it. Now, obviously, it's called Thor Ragnarok, but also we got a heavy hitter, Bruce Banner, a.k.a. the Hulk. I was wondering, how did the Hulk get involved into this project, and what kind of relationship were you trying to build between Bruce Banner and Thor?
Well, I feel like these two guys were the only two that were left out of Civil War, for a start. So they needed to have a movie together. I think this is the greatest version of Hulk and Banner that you're going to see. It really captures the duality of those characters in this film, where Hulk is no longer just I'll turn into the Hulk and smash everything. Hulk, you'll see an introspective, quieter version of Hulk, who's he's like the when you're introduced to him in one scene, he's like General Kurtz in Apocalypse Now. It's like so and I've never seen that version of Hulk before. And then Banner is what you'll see in this film is they're kind of finishing each other's sentences. Exactly. So man, we're so connected.
2 years on this stage, buddy.
Feels like it. They do though. They'll Banner will say things that you've heard Hulk say earlier in the movie, and vice versa.
It's also a good chance to let Ruffalo be as charming and funny as he is in other movies, because I feel like he's had to, as Banner in most of the Avengers films and stuff, be fairly straight man to Tony.
Controversial statement. Banner was boring before this movie.
I didn't want to say it, but yeah.
I don't mind.
Ruffalo was
I don't
not a
mind. I
boring
don't mind
actor.
saying stuff like that because I'm a big shot Hollywood director.
But Ruffalo's not a boring actor at all. He's actually a really great, fun actor.
Turns out he's not a boring person or a boring actor.
I mean, I've always loved him.
I've always loved him too. I feel like I just want to touch his hand. He is.
Do you want to touch Jason? I'll do it.
Why don't we both hold Hulk's hand?
Should we just wrap it like this? Just.
How long are we gonna do this?
Ladies and gentlemen, give a round of applause for Taika Waititi.